Welcome to What Just Happened, a show about what just happened. Let's start with the NFC. The playoff picture here is very nearly set in stone, with Green Bay clinching the number 1 seed, and a total of 6 teams with playoff spots already clinched. The 7th and final playoff spot's either going to go to the Saints or the 49ers. Both these teams have problems at the quarterback position, but they've managed to stay afloat because they have good coaching systems in place. Despite starting 4 different quarterbacks this year, head coach Sean Payton has his team in decent playoff position. It's mainly because of their stifling defense. I mean, if they held Aaron Rodgers to 3 and Brady to 0, I don't know what Sam Darnold was hoping to accomplish. On Sunday, the Panthers really couldn't run or hide anywhere. I don't think Sam Darnold is very good, but the Panthers' ineptitude goes far beyond the quarterback position. Now, Taysom Hill has a little more room for error because he plays all sorts of positions, but the Saints' offense is all about Alvin Kamara. His numbers haven't been great this year, but don't get it twisted, he's still one of the best offensive players in the league. The only thing the Saints are really missing is a quarterback, but that's kind of like saying the only thing the food is missing is the flavor. It could be sustained without it, but it just won't be very good. Unrelated, but I want to point out Carolina defensive tackle Derek Brown. Dude is 320 plus pounds, but just check out his hustle. Anyway, the Saints' problem is that they don't have a starting caliber quarterback. The Niners' problem is that they have 2. Trey Lance helped guide them to a win against the Houston Texans on Sunday, and he was pretty good. Really a lot of fun to watch. He reminds me of kind of like a young mini McNabb. Maybe it's just the jersey number, but I mean, he had a good game, he made some good throws. I really don't know what the Niners will do at quarterback if they do make the playoffs. I like the idea of them going with Jimmy Garoppolo and then using Trey Lance as kind of a not-so-secret weapon every now and then. It's just one more thing for defenses to prepare for. But first things first, they have to actually make the playoffs. They could clinch a spot on Sunday if they beat the Rams or if Atlanta beats New Orleans. Both games are happening at the 4:25 slot, so it should be a lot of fun if they're both happening at the same time. I'm just hoping for 2 really good games that we can bounce back and forth between. And honestly, the Rams should win this one. The Niners got them the past 5 times, so they're overdue. But the last time they played, it was pretty ugly. It was Monday Night Football, Week 10, and the Rams' offense looked dead. I don't think we're going to get a similar game. I think the Rams are a lot better now than they were then, and that was pretty clear during the Ravens game. At least the second half of the Ravens game. The first half, they sucked. But the thing about Matt Stafford is that now that he doesn't play for the Lions anymore, he doesn't have to be perfect in order to win. The Rams are built in a way that gives him more margin for error. And I just got to shout out Odell Beckham Jr. for making 2 huge catches in crunch time. The Rams don't need him to be jaw-dropping, they just need him to be a solid player, and that's what he's been. I don't think the Rams would be in first place without him, especially after what just happened in Dallas. Arizona beat the Cowboys, and in doing so, they could still win the NFC West. Part of the reason why they won is because they called this fake punt early in the game, which featured the best catch I've ever seen, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. I never heard of Jonathan Ward until this game, but amazing play. Amazing and clutch because that set up Antoine Wesley's second career touchdown reception. Dak Prescott responded with a touchdown pass, and Antoine Wesley responded with his 3rd career touchdown reception, and Arizona never looked back. They almost did, though. They really almost did. On this play, Chase Edmonds, I think he fumbles. It's hard to really tell. I zoomed in as much as I can for y'all. This would have given Dallas a chance with a little over 2 minutes left. It's really too close to call, but also it doesn't matter because Dallas screwed up. They mismanaged the clock and called their last time out too early, and so they couldn't challenge it, and that's on them. So for the NFC, the last week of games could be really fun, but most of them are not that relevant. They're sorted into 3 columns. The column on the left is games that really don't matter for anything playoff related. The ones in the middle matter for seeding, home field, all that, but not much. Of course, Arizona wants to win their division, but they've already clinched their playoff spot. So really the only 2 very relevant games are the ones I already mentioned. The Eagles are the only team locked into a wildcard spot. They clinched it in Washington last Sunday. They've been playing some really good football, and they'll be fun to watch in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make a deep run, but they have a lot to build upon. So all these games could obviously go either way. The only one I'm really comfortable penciling in is that Tampa should beat Carolina. Then if the Rams lose, Tampa gets the 2nd seed. Tampa's coming off a win against the Jets that should not have been as thrilling as it was, but can't complain. Brady hit wide receiver Cyril Grayson for a game-winning touchdown pass in the 4th quarter, and then he made this young fan's year. The big story of this game is obviously Antonio Brown quitting in the middle. Now there's speculation about him suing the team and about his mental health. as Tom Brady hits Mike Evans to convert a 3rd and 7. I actually think what Brown did was very funny and entertaining. He didn't hurt anyone, he just acted like a goofball. And I'm not going to speculate on his mental health because I'm not a doctor, or his litigation because I'm not a lawyer, but purely in the context of football, Tampa's going to miss him so much. As a receiver, he does everything really well. He's still a great deep threat and a great possession receiver, and he can get yards after the catch. And yeah, he may have lost a step, but not by much. I don't think he's going to get signed before the playoffs, but man, I'd love to see it. I don't think we realized how lucky we were to see Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and Antonio Brown on the same team at the same time. I'm not saying the Bucs need him for the playoffs because I've seen Tom Brady do a lot more with a lot less, but they'll miss him. So we've got our NFC slate lined up. Let's take a look at the AFC. The main thing in the AFC is that the Colts need to beat the Jags. If they do that, they're in the playoffs, and the Steelers and the Ravens are eliminated. That's because the Bengals just won their division in a shootout that absolutely lived up to the hype. This game felt like a preview for many AFC playoff games in the future, and I'm excited. These guys are so fun to watch. The confidence that's constantly shown by both these quarterbacks is infectious. And Jamar Chase, he is really good at football. I mean, speaking of Antonio Brown, Jamar Chase reminds me of a slightly bigger version of him. He's just one of those guys who could do everything. This was a signature win for the new Bengals, but the main benefactor here is the Tennessee Titans. The Titans held up their end of the bargain by smoking the Miami Dolphins 34-3. It was such an ugly game. I loved it. Now all the Titans need to do is beat the Texans, and they'll solidify their number 1 spot in the AFC playoffs. Despite a statistically average season from Ryan Tannehill, the road to the Super Bowl is likely going to go through Tennessee. The number 1 job of a quarterback on a good team is to not screw everything up, and Tannehill's done a good job of not screwing everything up. The term game manager, when used to describe a quarterback, usually comes with a negative connotation. But it shouldn't. That's his job. Manage the game, get the ball in the hands of the players who are most likely to help your team win. The most interesting game from Sunday was also the most boring. But I think New England versus Jacksonville just spoke volumes about the quarterback position and how we see it. Let me refresh your memory. NFL Draft 2021, Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence is selected 1st overall. This was a surprise to absolutely no one. Big, athletic, strong, accurate, good on the run, good in the pocket, makes any throw from anywhere on the field. He also beat Alabama in the national championship as a freshman. He was the ideal NFL quarterback prospect. 14 picks and 3 quarterbacks later, the next quarterback picked is Mac Jones, a guy who looks like a guy named Mac Jones. Throughout his college career, Trevor Lawrence was getting comparisons to greats like John Elway. Meanwhile, Mac Jones' NFL comparison on NFL.com is Daniel Jones. So Lawrence, the A-plus prospect, goes to a team that's had 1 good season since 2011. The Jacksonville Jaguars are one of the most dysfunctional franchises in sports, and it didn't take long for things to start going poorly for Trevor. The Jags drafted Travis Etienne with their 2nd first-round pick, even though they already had a really good running back in James Robinson. Etienne got injured in the preseason and has not played an official NFL down. Then in the 2nd round, they drafted offensive tackle Walker Little from Stanford. Little's been pretty good, but he's only started 2 NFL games. Then in week 4, the Jags lost their best receiver DJ Chark to an ankle injury, and he hasn't played since. Now all this is unfortunate, but it's not unusual for an NFL team to have a bunch of injuries, and playing for a bad team comes with the territory of being a number 1 overall pick. But what makes the situation uniquely challenging and horrible is this guy. I'm going to spare you all the details of the Urban Meyer story because it's been beaten to death at this point, but he ranks right up there with the worst NFL head coaches of all time. To sum it up, he was abusive to his players, he couldn't make it a full season, and he just wasn't ready for the grind of the NFL. So Lawrence went to a perennial clusterfuck. Where did Mac Jones go? Oh, that's right. Mac Jones went to the Patriots, who are the Patriots. He gets to be coached by the greatest coach in the history of professional sports, and it's really everything a rookie quarterback can want. It's a team that always prioritizes running the ball well and playing good defense. And this past offseason, they went out and got a really good tight end in Hunter Henry. A good tight end is a young quarterback's best friend, and Henry's got 9 touchdown receptions this year. This is the pinnacle of excellence versus the pinnacle of dysfunction. So how do you think it went down? Yeah, sounds about right. As for the game itself, there's really not much to discuss. New England ran the ball very well. Mac Jones had a really solid game, and it was just business as usual for the Patriots. And Belichick defenses are known for putting rookie quarterbacks through hell, and it was no exception on Sunday. Now, Trevor Lawrence wasn't getting much help from his teammates at all, so he had another very bad game. But does this automatically mean he's worse than Mac Jones? I say no chance in hell, but some might disagree. But look at Mac Jones' number one comparison. Many Giants fans are already done with Daniel Jones 3 years into his career. But is he that bad? Or is the organization just bad? I mean, Mike Glennon doesn't make him much better, that's for sure. I guess my point is that, with a couple of exceptions, your favorite team's quarterback is not nearly as great or terrible as you think he is. You just watch him under a microscope. And yes, some quarterbacks are superior talents, but we can't just disregard context when looking at their careers. So next time you think you're ready to make a judgment call on a young quarterback, just remember this.